Most people are surprised by how easy they are to pedal.
People don't realize how exciting and fun it is.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Wisconsin's Outdoor Explorer podcast. I am your host Jason, and I'm really excited today to share the podcast with you all because today we're talking about fat biking. And what I really love about fat biking is it's just another way to get you outdoors and get you active outdoors. And for those of you that enjoy riding bikes in the summertime, fat biking gives you another way to ride bike in the winter. So it potentially gives you the opportunity to be able to ride your bike all year. And today I talked with Bryon Black and Jessica Johnson of the Lakeland Area Mountain Biking Organization, otherwise known as Lambo. The first part of the interview I talked with Bryon, and we talked more about fat biking, what it is, some things you need to know, and some things to kind of help you get into it a little bit. And then in the second part of the interview, I talked with Jessica Johnson about Lambo and what they do as an organization and some of the things that they do to encourage biking in their community. So because this is a little bit longer podcast, let's jump right into it with the first part of the interview with Bryon Black. All right, everybody, thanks for joining me again. I am with Bryon Black of the Lakeland Area Mountain Biking Organization. Welcome to the podcast, Bryon.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for inviting me on.
So we're in the middle of winter right now, and we're trying to get out and doing as much stuff as we can. And you guys are doing a lot of fat biking up there. So why don't you tell everybody who might not know what fat biking really is?
Well, fat biking it grew out of mountain biking. The bikes are really similar in terms of what components they have on them. The main difference is they have these big fat tires, which is where the name fat biking comes from. The tires are, anywhere from 3.5 inches wide to, 5 inches, and maybe even a little bigger than that in some cases. So they're very big. They run with low PSI, not a lot of air in them. And they're designed to help you traverse, soft, loose terrain. They're really good in sandy conditions. They're really good in snow, as long as the snow is packed down fairly well. If it gets too deep and soft, you're going to struggle. But yeah, they're a lot like a mountain bike. Same types of handlebars. These days they come with suspension like trail bikes do, or your summer bikes. They make them in carbon fiber now. So they're pretty incredible machines. They're a total blast to ride too.
So now, can I take a regular mountain bike and turn it into a fat bike, or are those they're special bikes just designed for fat biking? Yeah,
it's really difficult to do that. I mean, if you knew somebody who was a welder who was really good at modifying frames and things, you could probably do it. But generally speaking, no. The tires are so wide that they don't fit in the parameters of a traditionally designed mountain bike frame. So you have to have special forks on the front that are wide enough for the tires and special chainstays in the back that are wide enough to put the back wheel on. So they're specially designed for those big tires.
Is the riding experience a lot different than your mountain biking, or do they handle a lot different?
I get this question a lot. They do handle differently, but I don't think it's a significant difference. In fact, most people are surprised by how easy they are to pedal. And that's what most people think would be they would think that it's harder to pedal those big tires, but they like to move. Those bikes like to go. They're faster than you would think they are. In fact, a lot of people feel like they're more stable on those bikes. My wife, for instance, was always kind of afraid of mountain biking. She didn't feel comfortable on the bikes and on the trails. But as soon as I got her on a fat bike, it was a different story. She felt like it held the trail better. She felt like It was just a more stable ride, and it totally changed your psychological outlook. Now, whether or not it truly is a different ride is one thing, but perception is a big deal too. And if somebody feels more comfortable on a bike, they're going to have more fun. So it's like, to get back to your original question, it's not a lot different, definitely not any harder, but a lot of people seem to like it a little bit more, if not a lot more in some cases.
Yeah, because I was going to ask that about the skill level of that too, because if you, like me, I ride bike in the summertime. I'm not a hardcore biker, but is it something that somebody like a casual summer rider would be able to pick up on it pretty easily as well?
Absolutely. In fact, there's a lot of demos that go in and around the area. Our club participates in a couple of those. And anybody who can ride a bike can get fitted for one of these, get on the bike, head out on the trail, and, have a great time. The trail matters too. You don't want to send them on a super technical trail with a lot of rock gardens and difficult terrain. You want to send them out on a trail that you're confident they can handle without too much, degree of consternation. But generally speaking, anybody can get out and ride it and have a great time.
So what got you into fat biking?
It was peer pressure. I was kind of a purist for a while. And I didn't see the appeal at first, because I was more into, I still do enjoy, cross-country skiing and snowshoeing and things like that. I felt like my winter was plenty full of those activities, but, more and more of my biking buddies started going out on, group rides on fat bikes in the wintertime. It was wintertime riding that got me into it. And then I went along for a couple of them, and I demoed a couple different bikes over the course of a few weeks, and I found one I really liked, and I had a blast on it, and I haven't been on my skis since.
So like, what do you like most?
That was 3 years ago.
Yeah, what do you like most about it, though?
I love biking, and mountain biking has always been my thing since I got into it back in the 90s. And I've been skiing since I was a kid, so it's not like I didn't love that, but it just must be something about biking that appeals to me a little bit more. It's definitely, for me, I can go pretty fast, and I, enjoy being able to really, we have some really well-designed fat biking trails that are just a total blast in the wintertime. Groomed really nice, and you can really rail on those trails, and you can have a lot of fun, and you can keep your biking legs year-round. So there's no, in the springtime when you're still biking, you haven't really stopped. Maybe you stop for a couple of weeks because of mud and stuff in the spring, but it's really a nice way to keep going, keep biking all year.
And like the age level too, I mean, can you get kids involved in fat biking?
Yeah, it's like any other bike. They build the bikes for all different size people. There's definitely kids that enjoy the sport. Kids can do it. We see kids at our demos all the time. Kids were at our race. But yeah, I think there's room for growth in that demographic.
Oh, good. So,
yeah.
So you say it's an investment. Can you take a fat bike? Can you run that all year long?
Yeah, there's quite a few people that do. They've become nothing but fat bike riders. They road ride them. They trail ride them all summer. They're really versatile bikes. They're really good on logging roads. Once in a while we do group rides every Wednesday night year round. And in the summertime those tend to be, trail rides. But once in a while we'd like to head out onto the logging trails and just do some exploring. And fat bikes are really good in that situation. I've noticed anyway. I feel more comfortable on my fat bike on those logging roads than I do on my trail bike. So, you tend to be dealing with, a wider variety of trail conditions. Sometimes it's grassy, sometimes it's sort of washed out, sandy trails, sometimes it's rocky. So fat bike really lends itself to that. And, a lot of people like having that. They feel like this bike handles everything they would ever run into. And they ride that bike year round.
Yeah, and that I'm hoping, that'll get more people maybe involved in it. If they can invest in a good bike like that, then they'll be able to use it, all year. That obviously is a lot better than having to buy a bike for a summer and a bike for winter. So maybe that's where the promotion will kind of help a little bit too,
Yeah, I think the guys, I've heard salespeople at demos and stuff pitch them that way, and customers seem to react quite well to that line. I think it's pretty logical and makes a lot of sense to people.
So I got to ask, because I've never ridden a bike in the wintertime. What do you have to do, like, personally to prep yourself for riding? Because, I'm thinking you if you're going skiing or snowshoeing, you're bundling up a little bit, but boy, I would think that'd be hard to ride if you're all bulked up and got a lot of clothes on. So what are some of the things that you do to prepare yourself when you ride in the wintertime?
I dress really light. I dress like I would for skiing. My rule is, like, you should always be cold when you're standing around before you go for a ride, because you're going to heat up, you're going to get warmed up. So I personally just wear a pair of, like, just standard long underwear. I wear, like, a pair of, for my boots, some people wear, like, a winter clip boot that will clip to the pedals. It's an insulated boot, and it's designed just for that, I tend to go with flats all season round anyway. So I'll wear a pair of, I wear some Solomon kind of like snowshoe boots.
Okay.
And then a pair of cross-country ski pants. Nothing really tight. They're a little bit looser. So I feel like I need to be a little more flexible. And then I wear a t-shirt, a base layer t-shirt, and then a lightweight cross-country ski jacket. And then if it's really cold, we've gone, sometimes it's, below zero when you go out. The numbers of people who turn out for those rides tend to thin out, but then you'll buck up a little bit more. There's special gloves you can get. Special sort of I forget what they're called, but they're like big mitts you can mount to your handlebars. Allows you to put your gloved hand in there and work all the brakes and shifters, but it insulates your hand, wraps around your hand, keeps your hand protected from the wind. And, some people just are much more sensitive in their fingers to the cold, so that's really a nice adaptation that you can get for bikes for that cold weather also. Well, and then the headgear matters too. You got to wear a helmet. You crash just as easy in the wintertime as you can in the summertime, and sometimes a little bit more unexpectedly. So it's good to have a helmet on.
Probably a softer landing, though, right?
Anytime. Yeah. I tend never to hurt my head. I usually break other bones, but still I wear that helmet. So you don't know if you're going to hit a tree or what, So, but the helmets tend to be, they're more insulated for wintertime riding, obviously. And some people wear a hat, and there's just all sorts of ways to dress up. But I really think the most important thing is not to overdress.
Yeah.
Because you will get super sweaty.
Yeah, no, that's good tips. Yeah, because I was thinking, man, what do you have to do to dress for this? Because you're dealing with I suppose the wind chill of the riding, but yet you don't want to be overdressed either. So yeah, it's probably a bit of a.
Well, that's where the cross-country ski gear comes in, because most of it's vented sort of in the back or really thin in the back. Like my jacket I wear has a really thin, breathable membrane in the back, and it doesn't insulate so much. But the front is, wind resistant and windproof. So as you're going through the wind, you're venting heat out the back, but the front of you is sort of that cross-country ski apparel type stuff really lends itself well to it.
Where can somebody try this if they want to try it without doing the big investment of doing it?
Well, most bike shops will rent for half a day or whatever. But there's, the demos might be kind of wrapped up for this season. But, a lot of places do demos. We do a demo at the Zip Trail in Minocqua in between Christmas and New Year's. It's usually a Wednesday. Next year will be the Thursday, the 26th of December, because Wednesday is the 25th. But we also there's also one at Shannon Lake in St. Germain. And, there's tons of them. There's all over the place, quite frankly. And just kind of you kind of, I bet if you got on the internet and you just did some searching for fat bike demos in whatever area you kind of want to go to, you would probably quickly find something. Or ask the bike shops. The bike shops will know when demos are coming up, but there tends to be lots of demos, I guess is what I'm getting at,
okay.
Especially sort of earlier in the season.
So Bryon, just one final question to wrap it up on the fat biking. What would you tell somebody who is kind of on the fence about whether or not they want to try this or not?
I would tell them absolutely to try it. They've got nothing to lose, and they'd be surprised how much fun they're going to have.
That's great. That's great. Well, Bryon, thanks a lot for joining us and talking about fat biking today. I'm sure everybody learned a lot. You know, it's still a new sport really for the biking world, and it's growing. And the more we can tell people about it, I think the more you're going to see some riders out there in the wintertime. Thanks again, Bryon, for taking the time to share a little bit of your knowledge about fat biking. So joining me now is Jessica Johnson, and she is the Vice President of the Lakeland Area Mountain Biking Organization. Hi, Jessica. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
So you guys go by Lambo for short, which I think is kind of fun. So tell me a little bit about what your organization is all about.
So we're a local organization, and we work on developing and maintaining sustainable trails in the area for mountain biking that we also use for fat biking. We started out many years ago as a slightly different organization, but the reorganization has been Lambo, and we've had a little bit more success as far as building our group and continuing to build great trail in the area. We branch as far out as like the Eagle River area, and then we've got the Minocqua area, Arbor Vitae, and Hazelhurst area as well we've been working in.
So you guys have a variety of trails that you maintain. What do you guys do specifically to keep those trails maintained for riders?
So we work with the DNR as well as a couple other contractors and members of our board to do all of our trail maintenance and building. Some of ours is machine built and others is by hand. We have one trail system. The Raven Trail is almost all hand built. That's some of our older trail, and we're working on obtaining a grant to continue building at that area with the school, as well as for the Arbor Vitae Woodruff School District. We have a forest there, and we're working with that group to incorporate their state forestry with our trail that's already built to kind of get a full trail that goes around the whole lake of Clear Lake. That's a work in progress. And then we've got like the zip line trail, which is a little bit newer of a trail. It's been one of the best fat bike trails in the area, and that has been mostly machine built. But then we also do a lot of hand building to improve it and clean it up and such. Grooming wise, we groom it for fat biking in the winter. We've got a couple people in our crew that are out there pretty rigorously, especially with the amount of snow we've had recently, to kind of make it at least rideable. What's nice about fat biking is it's an event, it's something you can do year round. It's something you can do as it's a little bit muddier because it's less damaging to the trail than a regular mountain bike. It's something you can do in the winter when it's too cold to be out doing too many other things. And a lot of people in this Northwoods area work really hard in the summer with the type of business they have. So winters really free up more time to get into our leisure excitement of mountain biking or fat biking. You're
a nonprofit organization?
Yes, we are a fully nonprofit organization, and we have a full board. We're actually in the middle of a board meeting, but we meet about once a month, and we're always looking for new ways to kind of grow the group, whether it's riders or people participating in more help with the trails or just kind of getting more people involved. We do group rides every week, usually on Wednesday nights, and that has been a big part of how we built our organization, is just getting more people interested in the event or in the idea of fat biking. We have Schwamigan Adventure Bike Company is one of our biggest supporters, and they bring a lot of demo bikes for all of our bike ride groups. So people that don't have a bike of their own can come try it. And that's always neat to see people for the first time. I have a brother-in-law who's battling ALS. And last year he participated in one of our group rides, and it was the first time he had been on a bike in probably 10 years and probably the last time he was even using his legs. So it was really neat to see that he could participate in an event in the winter, powered by himself, and supported by such a great group.
Oh, yeah, that does sound really great. And just talk a little bit more about these group rides that you do and kind of what that does to help the riding community.
So we usually post on our Facebook page prior to a Wednesday night ride. There's also the Tuesday night ride if you are closer to the St. Germain area with our Shannon Lake trails and such. But we post on Facebook where we're going to have our group rides. We can, especially if there's enough notice, provide demo bikes to be used at these events. And we plan the events based on the conditions. So if we know that it's real muddy, we're going to talk about maybe biking urban. So we'll bike from like bar to bar or wherever. But if the conditions are really good at certain trails, we'll try to group ride there. And trails get better the more people that ride them. You can set a better base if we can ride them more often. So in the early winter, we really try to build up the amount of people that come just because it helps them find out how exciting this event or this type of exercise is, but B, it also helps us build the base that we need at these trails. And then many other reasons.
Sure.
So we're a pretty fun group.
So do you have to be a member to ride, or can anybody show up and ride?
Anybody can show up. We just recently started doing membership as a financial contribution to the organization, but that's not the only way to be part of Lambo. People can just be a part of Lambo by coming to group rides or supporting our events or just appreciating what we do. Of course, we are a nonprofit and we're expanding trails, so we do need some sort of a contribution at some times, but not everybody does that. But just encouraging them to become a biker in general is great for us. We just want to see more people out there biking.
Oh yeah, definitely. So one of the other things that I noticed that you guys do is something called Lambo Shares. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So a couple years ago, we made a pact to try to get anyone and everyone on a bike. So every year we try to gather up a couple old bikes that maybe we see on Facebook Marketplace or rummage sales or just sitting on the side of the road, or we send out an email to people and maybe we get a couple spikes on that say, yeah, I got an old bike that I'm about to get rid of. So we'll gather a bunch of old bikes, then we'll have a work night where we'll order pizza and we'll just get all of us together. We've got some great resources with Schwamigan Adventure Bike Company, as well as a lot of people that know a lot about bikes. And we'll just hodgepodge as many as we can. Some are really nice bikes and new bikes. And we'll donate them to the Lakeland Sharing Foundation or Kids in Need in Rhinelander or wherever we can find kids that need a bike, that have never had a bike before. And that's just our goal, is to get everybody on a bike. We've done an event where we've had a Bike for Heart, where we donated a bike at the event, and all proceeds for the event went towards a member in the community that had a bad accident with a fire. And so we worked really hard to get people involved in that to then give back. But it's all about just trying to get more people interested in biking. And if you can't provide a bike for yourself, we want to be able to help you out with that. And we've had people that have come to our events in the fall where they've brought an old bike that maybe they've outgrown, so we'll swap and get them a nicer bike that's a little bit bigger for them, but at about the same level. So we're not trying to just take bikes, but give as many as we can.
Well, that's great. So how long have you guys been doing this program?
I think at least about 3 or 4 years. Okay. We've done it without the name Lambo Shares before, but over the last 3 years, we've been really trying to work hard at making it an intention of ours to give back and work on a work day for that.
Oh, it's a great plan. When I read about it, I'm like, wow, this is just so nice that they're giving, fixing up bikes that maybe somebody doesn't want or somebody doesn't need anymore, and giving them basically new homes and giving them new life, and and growing more riders is what you're doing. Really, you're growing that family of riders, and that's what's really cool about the program, I think.
Yes, it's exciting to watch a kid get a bike for the first time, or to even just try biking. It's definitely something we want to continue doing in our group.
So if somebody wants to reach out to you guys and join your group, or just help volunteer, or just go for a ride, what's the best way for them to do that?
Well, our Facebook page is updated pretty frequently, especially with rides. So Lambo Riders. And then we have LamboRiders.org for our website.
You have a great organization, and I'm glad to share you guys with my audience out there, because I think what you're doing is really cool, and you're keeping people outside and getting them outside with the riding and with the fat bikes, and I think anytime we can encourage people to be outside all year long is just something really great.
Well, what's neat about the fat biking is it's a wider tire. It's more forgiving. You get people that are maybe a little nervous to go on a switchback, but you got a little bit more security with the padding snow and then the bigger tire, and it's just kind of neat to see how people don't realize how exciting and fun it is. And I don't know, it's neat.
Jessica, thank you for joining me, and thank you for telling us a little bit about the Lambo Riders and what you guys do. I'm going to be sure to put a link in my show notes so that people can reach out to you if they want to reach out to you. So thanks again for joining me. It was great talking to you and Bryon.
Yeah, thanks for calling us.
I really hope you guys enjoyed this episode as much as I like talking with Bryon and Jessica. They shared a lot of great information, and I will post links to their website and their Facebook page in the show notes. So if you've got any questions, please feel free to reach out to them and contact them. They're going to be more than happy to get you started in fat biking and tell you how you can be involved in Lambo as well. So I want to thank them both for taking the time to talk to me a little bit about fat biking and about the Lakeland Area Mountain Biking Organization and all the wonderful things that they're doing in the Northwoods to help promote biking. That's going to do it for this episode. Thanks for joining me, and I will talk to you again next week. Thanks for listening to the Wisconsin's Outdoor Explorer podcast. For more great information about being an outdoor explorer, visit our website at wisconsinsoutdoorexplorer.com. Be sure to check out the blog page and follow us on social media. And don't forget to subscribe to this podcast wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts.